Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Loving how you wind up for me. Tonight is all on me. Mash up the place for me. Yeah, yeah. She just wanna highlight. Ooh, that body talk to me. I need a taste, baby. Loving the way you move around me. No more delay. No, you can wait to shut it down. Won't you show me how you work it? I can't find no flaws, you perfect. Cause every time that you come around my way, I keep falling again. I keep falling again. And every time that you come across my mind, I keep falling again. I keep falling.
Hey guys, welcome to the 5 F's to Love, Real Talk with the Ladies. You know, all these points in our life, right? We're saying to ourselves, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I know the people around me. But real talk, it gets to a point in your life sometimes you need to reevaluate those relationships. You know, maybe work relationships are a little different, right? But then the personal. So then you start to kind of say, okay, something's not really fitting because I'm transitioning this way and this person's going that way. I don't call them toxic relationships. I just call it, I don't know what it is. Your inability to assess who you are, what you want, and who's the best fit for you in that moment that you are in life. So you know we about to have real talk. So let's bring the beat in. We got Pennsylvania. Holly, they not ready for this tonight, honey. They not ready.
They're ready. Trust me.
You think they're ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, because you know, that whole thing about saying people are toxic, I go, I don't know, the laws of attraction, honey. Let's keep it real. I don't know about that. And you know, Ramel, you always bringing the beat in over there. So this is like a big conversation for me. Ramel, I think of you, honestly, as like this beautiful orchid. And every time you say something, I'm like, what beauties get ready to come out of her? Because honey, you already know Dr. Mac is going to keep it real. That's why we got to keep the orchid here. So Dr. Mac, you about to put the spin on. Dr. Mac going to be like, look, it is what it is. If you got to go, you got to go. See, that's why I like this conversation. Dr. Mac, do you remember the show, The Jeffersons?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how they said, I'm moving on up to the top, to the deluxe apartment in the sky? Why do I feel like your move is now in a deluxe apartment in the sky?
Your feelings are accurate. I'm up here.
Oh, honey, because I'm looking, I said, you know, this backdrop is changing, not to put your business in the street. But honey, this deluxe apartment in the sky, high. All right, Jeffersons.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, the McDowells are downtown Chicago. We happy to be here.
Oh, honey, did you see? She said, honey, and we here. The McDowells are here. Listen, folks, we're gonna jump up in this in 1 second. When I say in 2 and 2, we're gonna be back in 2 and 2, and we're gonna start from the beginning because, honey, we about to walk through the whole process. How do you evaluate your personal relationships and start having that bigger conversation about who stay, who go, or who you willing to work with to keep them on the stay? That's a big conversation. May it be your lady friends, your guy friends, or your boyfriends, your living lovers, or your secret lovers. We about to have a conversation. Be right back.
My name is Christine Burkett, the inventor of the 5 F's to Love. This is a compatibility app. It's an app that gives you an opportunity to rate words that start with the letter F in chronological order of importance to you, to help you find your one true love, your soulmate, and the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So after you've taken the time to rate your F's in chronological order, you send a link to the person, I don't know, you just met, or the person you've been dating for quite some time, Or maybe it's the person you've been married to for 30 to 40 to 50 years. And then you compare your top 5 F's to find out what things you have in common and things that you may perhaps need to work on. This is taking a simplistic perspective on how to find your one true love, your soulmate, the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And thank you for downloading the 5Fs app.
Hey guys, welcome back. And let me tell you, this is a hot topic. Well, before we even get started, you know we got to do our shout outs. Gertrude, I'm telling you right now, one, I love, what is up with this? You got a new look over there, Gertrude. She says, good evening, ladies. Gertrude, you know we always happy to see you. Hey, Antoinette, this is middle school, y'all. So you know what, Antoinette, don't be putting my business on the street either on this show. Antoinette has known me since Harding Middle School, Antoinette. And thanks for watching and listening. She is now in Texas. Detroiters have gone south on me, honey. All my besties. And we already know that Michael McDowell is 100 on point. Anytime his baby girl is on, he like, oh, my lovely Dr. Mac is on. He does so many shout outs. Dr. Mac, yes, I'm hating on you live and in color right now. But you know I love that. To me, Black love is so beautiful. And I love that he 100% supports you in everything that you do. By the way, their Instagram is outstanding. So if you ever want to catch the McDowells out and about, you just need to follow Dr. Mac on her Instagram.
Yes, thank you.
So listen, we getting down to business. This is what I need to know. At some point in all of our lives, whatever it is, what are the indicators that you need to begin evaluating these relationships in your life? Like, what are the indicators? And I know it's going to be different for each of us, right? Because we're all different people. And that's the whole thing, folks. We're going to give it from the perspective. So, Dr. Mac, you go ahead and put that prescription on it. We're going to start with you because you're going to put a prescription on it.
I think that your evaluation starts with your own discernment. I think a lot of times as Black women, we pretend that we don't feel things, but you absolutely know when you are reaching out more than they're reaching in. If you're sending more invites to them than they're inviting you, if you are finding yourself always being an outlet, the plug, the person to borrow money from, the person to pray with them, and somehow you look up and 6, 7, 8, 9 months or 6, 7, 8 years has passed and they've offered you nothing. And I think that people try to make you feel bad about being transactional, the quid pro quo, where we tell each other, well, it's not supposed to be tit for tat. I'm supposed to give people things and not expect anything in return. All of those fun fables are good, but your emotional equity counts for something. And if you
Wait,
wouldn't
Dr.
make
Mac, did you say fun fables?
fun fables.
I love it. She says,
With Black women, we will scripture ourselves into a heart attack. And okay. I think, yeah.
I'm glad you said that. So I'm so glad you said that because that falls into that fun fables. And we try to, how can I say, substantiate or bona fide or support or like this, I'm going in the right direction because of this. And we point to
it should be measurable. That person makes you feel good. Whether it's their laughter, their prayer, they help you with your style. You can quantify why this person has value in your life. It doesn't have to be because you do the exact same thing, but you know if you get around this person and your joy is depleted. Mm-hmm. That's not a person. That's not a villager. That's a part of your village.
And what you just said is so true. Ramel, you know I'm coming to the orchid. Because I know you're going to bring this soft, beautiful side to this, or you may just shock me. I don't know what's happening. Well, I don't ever know.
I'm going to agree like 112% with Dr. Mac. She just said it. Maybe she just said all the things. Okay. But my thing for friendship is if I start to feel exhausted being in your presence, whether it's on the phone or in person, because we're not in the same place,
Right.
You always have the issues. Like 12 years later, you still are having, the same. You're constantly the
Did
one
you
that
say
they're coming
12
to.
years later?
I'm just saying, it's not specific, is it? That's a little
No,
specific,
no,
but
no. Whoever is in her life and it's 12 years later, hint. Hello.
but you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
it's a constant, they're constantly going to your well, and eventually you're going to dry out if they're not replenishing you. Friendship is a give and take situation. Sometimes I'm going to be the one who's down, sometimes they're going to be the one who's down.
Right.
But when you're constantly going to the well and you're never replenishing that relationship, eventually you're going to go dry. So now I can say this is that as I have gotten older, I have gotten a chance to learn that as to like be discerning, like Dr. Max
Okay.
said, you have to understand how you are feeling in this relationship. And if it's not good anymore to you, if you don't feel good, if you look at your phone when they call and you roll your eyes, it's time to figure out whether you need to be their friend. Y'all laughing because you've rolled your eyes at the
Okay,
phone.
look, y'all better listen to the orchid. Y'all better listen to the orchid because orchid is usually like giving you the softer side. So the orchid said, you rolling eyes. I just want to say Ramel is the orchid. Okay, Holly. Holly, Holly is always like a surprise. Surprise. Okay, Holly,
Am
what
I?
you
Am
thinking?
I? I'm not so sure about that. No, both of the ladies put it very eloquently, more better so than I could. I mean, I cannot match Dr. Mac's articulation by any means. And of course, Ramel gives it to you soft and sweet. But it's for me, it's just intuitive. You know
Mhm.
when somebody's no longer contributing to your growth,
Right,
whether it's emotionally,
right.
Mhm.
um, spiritually, or mentally, whether it's a friendship, a
Mhm.
relationship, even your job, like you just feel very stagnant.
Mhm.
um, I think a lot of times I've experienced termination of relationships due to some grandiose experience,
Okay.
not necessarily something where it was intuitive, like somebody was very disrespectful, and I don't stand for disrespect. So for me, that's a huge thing.
Right.
um, Whether it's again work, friendship, or romantically involved with people, I think it's just very important that you're very aware, self-aware of what you'll tolerate, and once it feels like you've exceeded that boundary, it might be time to definitely reevaluate.
Hmm.
You know what? I like everything that everybody said and giving it like, Dr. Mac, you just made it real. Like this is the little roadmap. And if you don't see these little yield yellow signs along the way, then that's just you allowing it to happen. And it Ramel's like, I totally 100% agree. And then she gave like that whole spin on it. Like if you straight up in 10 or 12 years, accepting this buffoonery, then that's where we are. And then Holly was just like, you gotta have a line that nobody crosses. When people cross the line, you gotta know the line. So folks, I will say this to you, and I find that some people, everything that you guys said, they hear it, but then they still they bobbing and weaving within the relationship because at some point you're like afraid of being alone or without. So your attitude is, and I'm a use a fable. Stick with the devil, I know this person, I know how they act, so I'm just gonna keep them. Because if I hook up with Josephine Baker, I don't know how this is going on. If I hook up with Mark Jacobs, I don't know how this is going to happen. So I'm just going to stick with the devil I know. And that's how people kind of, in their minds, just kind of, I'm going to be with this person. And I'll be totally honest with you. My exit strategy for people is that you exit your own self out. Like it's not me exiting you, you're exiting yourself based on the things that you've said or done. So this is the kind of thing. I'm the kind of person, I'm a friend to the end. I got your back no matter what. Ramel, if you called me tomorrow and said, I decided to start this business, this is what we're doing. You know what I'm going to tell you to do? Send me everything you need for branding and marketing. Don't pay for it. I got you. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what you
Mhm.
do. Now, this is the whole thing. If once I do all the branding and marketing, you don't owe me anything. I'm doing it because I'm your friend, and that's what we supposed to do. But when you had the grand opening, can I come in there? Can I just get a little dress or something? I'm gonna pay half price at least. I'm not gonna look for a free, because you got to pay the rent. But you can say, well, Christine, look, at least let me give you 50% off, because you did all this work for me. I'm gonna give you 50% off. But to Mac's point, it's like if you're constantly a taker and you in a relationship, there's no giving. No, you can't give me anything for free. You got to pay the rent. But you can say get 50% off, right? So those are the things you need to look at, what's important. And folks, let me explain something to you, real big picture before we go to commercial break. You got to know where your level is. If somebody is yelling at me, I have this thing about yelling at me, I'm out. If I feel like you're getting ready to get physical with me in a relationship, that's if I think. If I feel that, like Dr. Max said, the intuitions is telling me that this could go south, I'm out before it goes south. I'm just calling it. I'm calling the game.
So, Christine, that means when we come back from commercial, we have to talk about boundaries and sticking to them, because
we are. That's what we're talk about.
It hurts your feelings, but it's better on the other side.
It is better on the other side. So, folks, understand this. You got to be real within those relationships, and don't think about, I'm going to be by myself. I'm not going to have anybody. If I do this, I'll be by myself. Let me tell you something. The loneliest days of my life was when these two people behind me in that picture, my parents, passed. That's the only people I'm going to miss for real. Everybody else, I'm going to miss you, but I'm probably not going to cry about it, though. I'm not going to be emotional. Okay, Holly, stop looking like that. You know that you don't count in that.
You better be devastated. You better.
I will be devastated, Holly. I can see her back there like, really? She talking about me in this moment? Don't act like that. Dr. Mac, don't fool with me. All of y'all on the podcast, I'm off of this. I'm going to commercial. I don't have time.
I want a shirt with my face on it. I want you to wear it for 30 days.
You know what? They are true. We'll be back after this commercial break. Y'all are true. We'll be right back.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
You did catch me dancing because I like all the commercials. Why? Because I create them. Okay, so listen, welcome back to Real Talk with the ladies on the 5Fs to Love Network. This is like an excellent conversation. Gerald, thank you so much for joining us tonight from 60 is the New 40, our Friday show. Hello, Robinson. And by the way, guys, Robinson is actually getting married next month. This is
Congratulations.
I'm so excited about that. And Mr. Major. Hey, ladies. Hey, Holly. Thank you, Mr. Major, for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate all of your support. So, I know a lot of women and go through this thing. We are part of a lot of different organizations, initiatives outside of our regular relationships. And a lot of times we get in those relationships, and to Dr. Max's point, we don't see that. So we want to talk through, during this evaluation process, do you consider external input? And within that, are you looking at them helping you establish those boundaries? Because sometimes, and I'll be real with you, some people don't even know how to establish boundaries because they keep allowing people to break them. I know somebody right now, their kid break every, they put up a roadblock, the kid then walk past the roadblock, and they put up another one. So I'm just saying, if you can't keep the boundaries with the kids, I don't think you're going to really hit it in the relationship. I mean, could I be wrong? I don't know. Look, Dr. Mac, don't do it. Don't do the look up. I'm going to start calling you and Mr. McDowell the Jeffersons. That's y'all new because y'all moving on up. All right, go ahead on moving on up.
Boundaries, it's self-care. It's not selfish. And I think that when we think about our self-care, we have to be really strict on the importance of us versus the other person, including the kid, right?
Okay.
And it's funny that I work with kids, and I just had a group yesterday, and I told them, they were 8th grade. I said, you do understand that your mother just met you 14 years ago. You do understand.
I love that. Did you say that to the kids?
Yes. You understand that she was a whole person, because I talk to entitled teenagers and preteens. So I try to enter from a perspective of she already risked her life to get you here.
Right.
It's a lot that comes after that you feel entitled to. And sometimes you don't understand how precious your mother's offerings are, right?
Right.
So in saying that, I teach mothers to have boundaries on those kids, because if you don't create space for yourself, whether it's a kid or a partner, a job, or organization, when that thing has run its course, you have to reintroduce yourself to yourself, and that's hard work. Losing yourself and trying to find her because you've given so much. I have coworkers and friends and family members that are trying to do that work, and that reintroduction is hard. So if you have to say F somebody to not have to reintroduce yourself to yourself, it should make you say F them a little easier.
Well, before we move on, I love the part about telling the kid, your mother's only been knowing you for 14 years. Like that right there, that was, I had to say to myself, okay, you're right.
And if she wasn't grown, she really wasn't ready. And she just
right.
It out.
This is a 14-year relationship right now, and you trying to act like I had a little book to go with you. Okay, so Holly, what's up?
No, boundaries is a big deal. I gotta be honest with you. I wasn't very good at it. I think I am more so better at it, but shoo, child, I was a people pleaser. I'm not even going to lie. And I know all of that stems from abandonment issues, and it's a whole childhood trauma response. And I understand that. I was a latchkey kid. So a lot of my growing up dealt with taking care of myself, taking care of my brothers. So it wasn't really like I could establish boundaries. Everything had to be yes, ma'am, yes, sir, doing it right now. So in order to establish boundaries, you also have to know when to turn off people pleasing. And I think just recently I've come very much in tune with that. I'm not saying I say no to everything. I do say yes to a lot more things than I say no to, but I think part of that process of boundaries, like Dr. Mack said, is about self-care. And I think because I spent so much time taking care of my siblings and making sure, dinner was started and homework
Right.
was started and the house was clean. And then I immediately went into being a single mom. Like I didn't really have time to experience that journey.
Mm.
So now that I'm establishing boundaries, I think at times people think I might be a little bitchy, but I don't even care.
I
I
love
don't.
that. I love that. You know what I love most about what you said is that you were honest about with yourself about who you were. You were like, I was a
Oh,
people pleaser.
absolutely.
So I already
Yeah.
know. And you're right. And that
Yeah.
is a switch. So people who've known you over the years, that's a big switch from being a people
Yeah.
pleaser to don't cross that line because that's out. I'm done. That's a
Right.
big switch. So I'm going to
Mhm.
say, I'm proud of you. I'm
Me
like
too.
Yeah.
totally not a
Big
people
time.
pleaser. I'm basically like, okay, so what? What are we saying?
But
Okay,
you're a
because
you're a radical multitasker.
Get
did you
into
use
it.
the
So,
word
so
radical?
Radical.
Get into it.
So it's not, your things may not be
Yeah,
people, but
yeah.
you may not have boundaries with all your stuff.
She was
Mhm.
like, "You're a radical." I like
I
that.
like that.
Radical
Ramel,
multitasker.
Ramel, did you hear her call me a radical? I mean, like, what does that mean, Ramel? Give me the orchid spin on this. No. So, Ramel, from your
Mhm.
perspective, what do you think about that? The boundaries? Because once we cover that, we're going to talk about external. Some people need approval, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. So, what do you think about that whole boundary thing?
Boundaries were really non-existent for me for a long time in a lot of different ways. I have 3 girls, and I did a lot of running around, making sure that they got from this thing to the next thing. It was like I was always down on the list, and it wasn't that anybody put me there. I put myself there. I let myself be there. And I felt like it was the right thing to do at that time. But if I were to do it over again, I would do it differently because, as to Dr. Mack's point, it was a big change for everybody when when Ramel was like, "No, I'm not doing that." And my kids had to adjust. They still, to a certain extent, have to adjust because I'll be like, "No, I'm not cooking. Y'all are old enough. You all can get in the kitchen and you can cook." And this is the fun thing is when they wait for me to come home from working all day, been on the road, and they come in there waiting for me to cook. Guess what? No, I'm not cooking. Let me know when you're finished so I can come and get some. Okay. So it took a while for me to get to that point, and it took a while for them to understand that I was doing that because I needed to survive, because I could not hold the weight of all the responsibilities I was letting myself take on. And so I had to let go or else I wouldn't be able to survive. And when you know what I'll tell you what really changed it for me. Somebody asked me, "Ramel, what do you like to do?" And I did
Wow.
not have an answer. I didn't know. I hadn't done anything for myself in so long. I didn't have an answer. And that one question switched it for me. I started doing things that I thought I might like to do. At least I was trying.
Right.
And, trying to rediscover, like, what is it that really makes me feel good? What do I like to do for me, not for anybody else? And so that's where I had to start. That's when I started using boundaries.
I
You
love that
know,
Something
you use
other
that
than
as an
sleep.
example, Mel. Like that's a big thing she said.
it
And
is.
in my practice, when I do the 10-week program with mothers specific to unlearning some of their ideas about sexuality and all of that stuff that I do, my first question is, so who are you?
Mhm.
And it's never simple. It's
Mm-mm.
never,
Or
I
never
never
simple
get a quick
answer. Yeah.
response. I never get um I don't get a story. It's usually their name. and then we have to go into a deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, when was the last time you knew? And then it's another deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a bigger conversation about when people ask you who you are. Because like when you're a mom, I'm not going to kid you. For the longest time, I would say I'm just Julian's mom. Nothing else, just Julian's mom. Right? Don't you become your kid's mom? That's my identity became now. Mind you, the whole time I'm working. I'm like the CIO of a DPS. I'm going to school, working on a master's, a second master's. Who are Julian's mom? How are you? So you need to look at that. And before we go, I just want to say, Gerald, thank you so much for giving us the claps. Major said, Holly is the real deal. I can testify. And Gertrude, you better be glad I got my glasses on. Gertrude said, I thought I had a friend who would scold me like a child because something we were doing together did work because she did not want to admit that my suggestion was better than hers. So she flipped it as though it was my mistake. I stepped back to get a grip on the whole situation. I did not want the snap. Gertrude, good Lord. Gertrude, we never heard you talk like this.
She cut the cord. That girl showed us.
She said, I decided this type of behavior was constantly showing itself, so I cut the cord. I felt better because I realized lepers don't change their spots. Gertrude is a trap. Gertrude said, Dr. Mack, I understand because I've been there.
I know she does, but she said something specific, and we just quote Dr. Maya Angelou. When people show you who they are, don't pretend not to know.
Honey,
we give all kind of like chances. We will at least ourselves to death. At least
because we choose to ignore red flags because loneliness is based in fear.
Yes,
I'm glad you said that.
Loneliness is based in fear, and my thing is, you can't be afraid.
You can't be afraid at all. Like fear is a handicap, and it's the precipice of paralysis. And if you
I'm sorry, can you say all those P words again?
Fear is the precipice of paralysis. I mean, not to, I try to coin these things. I feel like a walking bumper sticker sometimes, but you can't, being scared to be alone is different than loneliness. Yeah. Being scared to travel alone, being scared to take yourself on dates, all of those things make you keep people around that are unnecessary.
Right.
Because you feel like you need a +1 or a +2, or you need a crew, or you need an organization. When it's like, go outside, go to the thing, take the invitation. They might be there waiting on you. Your new village or your new set of people might be at that thing, but
might be at that thing.
And the person you carrying with you might be the reason why you're not invited.
Hello. I just want to say, Miyoshi. One, I love your name. Let's just start with that. And two, your screenshot, you're a very beautiful person. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. First time watcher, first time caller. Don't they do that on the radio? I got to get my own thing now. Okay, so I was so consumed.
She's been hanging out.
I was so consumed with everything and everyone else that I forgot what my favorite color was. And I had to work to rediscover what it was. One of the things that I will say is when we get into these relationships. One of them is being a wife and being a mother. We get so consumed by our spouse and our children that I think sometimes the nurturing becomes this thing that it's our way of life. You know, like Ramel said, she just kind of forgot who she was, what she wanted, because she was focused on, I got to be here for them. I got to make dinner and I need to do this for him and I need to get that for them. And then she became the nurturer. And she totally forgot what she wanted. I think a lot of times we do that, but you know what? It comes naturally, because when you mate with somebody, it may be your spouse or your children. First of all, what person is walking around and you didn't carry this kid that you're just not going to connect with them, right? Even adopted children, you connect with them because you're a nurturer. When I was an educator, I didn't have any of those kids, but I was bringing them home because I just wanted to love them and protect them, right?
But not everybody is a nurturer.
And that's the kicker. And I want people to be clear that you automatically assume that this behavior comes hand in hand with being a woman. It does not. We need to be clear. Just because I'm walking around looking like this doesn't mean that I am that person, and you just need to take me on face value. Dr. Max said, when I show you who I am, you better go with it. So
we
folks,
also do too much. We do too much.
We do too much.
And I'm gonna put, and I'm really, as much as I love Black women to death, but I gotta tell us the truth. Nobody asked you to take them kids home. We offer what we don't have. We offer time we don't have. We offer money we don't have. We offer energy we don't have. And nobody told you that because you were a wife and a mother that you didn't count. Because what we do after that, to Miyoshi's point of her favorite color, we go right into caregiving. So even when our kids are grown, we turn around and take care of our mama and our auntie and the elders. And then before you know it, it's like, oh, I'll start on me after something. And your after somehow comes when people make their transition. Sometimes and to tell somebody that they can start on themselves when somebody else is grown or passes away, when you think about the numbers of it, so from birth to 18, from when mama had you until mama died, until grandma died, that's when you get to start your life. That is the rhetoric that we pass down. And we raise little Black girls that are master multitaskers, super women, cape wearing girls who automatically know that they're going to graduate, they're going to work, they're going to become a wife and a mother, and then they're going to come back and take care of you. What kind of life is that?
Well, you know what? And I'm going to say, I don't think anybody should have that roadmap, because that wasn't my roadmap.
I love that.
It wasn't my roadmap.
Good,
but I will say this too, folks. Dr. Mack is not saying don't be supportive and nurturing of kids in need. That's not what she's saying. I just want to be clear. Dr. Mack was just talking to me. Yeah, she was talking to me. Because we know, because she works in education, and there is a lot of kids, and there's always like that space where, and I ended up bringing a kid home with me because the mother was a prostitute and a drug addict. And she was so smart. She was like, how do you beat the odds that this kid is a genius, but she's grown up in this environment? So I did what I thought was best. I brought her home with me for 6 months and she graduated, right? But for me, it was just an opportunity because I kind of felt like the process for her to then go to foster care, it would have been too long, and who knew who she was going to be with. So I went right straight to the little people at the schoolhouse and was like, this is what I'm doing. Is this against the law? Help me make it not against the law, because this is what I'm doing. So I'm doing it, but we need to fix this. And they did fix it. And now to this day, you know, that's my goddaughter. I have these beautiful grandchildren who I absolutely love and adore. And Phoenicia, I know you're watching. She is outstanding. And she tells everybody, you know, that's my mom. And they always look like, you don't even look like her. It's not that. It's the point is I loved her like she was mine. And I made sure she had. Now, I can't do that for everybody. But I ain't going to lie, Dr. Mack. I did bring some kids home for a day. Don't talk about me. Just for a day, Dr. Mack. I just wanted to make them a good dinner. Okay? And everybody knows I don't cook. So you know it was hot dogs and pork and beans. But that don't make a difference. Your
blessings are waiting. Your blessings are waiting.
Romeo, listen, beautiful orchid. Don't be laughing at me. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Can y'all believe she left me making pork and beans?
I think it's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
Dr. Mack, you're half-assing me. I'll be right back. I can't believe this.
What's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please done the talks, I heard enough of it. Like, what you gonna do do, where you at, who you with, you ain't really about this, don't talk about it. Really on the move, on the map, never slip, keep your hands to your lips, don't talk about it. Real eyes, all the time, stand on it, if we said it, we don't walk around it. Loose lips, ain't ships, red cup, blue strips, new phone, who this, no we don't allow it. Really on go, I don't know what's an off day, now we on road, came from smoking in the hallway, now we got shows, boys feeling like Broadway, always look both ways, even on a crossway, driving down Cross Bay, out town Barclays, really on big things, came up a small way, championship rings, baby that's a ball game, oh she want a little bag, baby that's small change. Yeah, that money talk. If we ain't cool, then cut me off. No breaking news, don't run your mouth. Thought it was the plug, now he running off. Thought it was a plug, now he running off. What you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this, don't talk about it. Really on the
Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk with the Ladies on the 5Fs to Love Network. So let's start with this conversation before we go back to this conversation. I should be seeing 6 likes right now or 6 thumbs up. If it's 6 people watching, if it's 7 people watching, if it's 10 people watching, just like us, wherever you're watching us, we would appreciate it. The next thing is I want to say to you guys is thank you for watching us. We appreciate your support. Now be sure to catch us. This week and next week are our last live weeks for the month of April. We're going on spring break, everybody. So we will not be here for the month of April because we are all going on spring break. But you will see replays. So you'll be able to see, the top picks of the 5Fs to Love Real Talk with the Ladies episodes for the month of April. And we'll be back live in May with new conversations, honey. And let me tell you something. These ladies got some hot topics they want to talk about. I don't even know if y'all going to be ready in May. So let's get back to the business. Folks, we already know. Some of us got to call all our girlfriends, everybody, before we get rid of folks. Honey, JoJo said this. What you think about what I'm thinking? Do you think Shaniqua should stay? Because this is what she done did. She done lied again. Margarita, honey, she's still over here borrowing clothes. She done borrowed $500. I ain't seen it. Will you be adding that to the tab? I could have spent $30,000 by now and got me a car for what Margarita owed me. All of them conversations are happening, right? So before we get, I want to tell you right now, Morris said caregivers, yes. And folks, that's a whole conversation. We come back in May. We're going to have a whole conversation about women and caregiving because it goes beyond taking care of your parents. It's a whole caregiving movement right now. We're going to talk about that. And just because we ladies don't mean we got to be the caregivers now. Ooh. We're going to talk about it. Y'all going to be like, Christina's a trip. Gertrude, I'm glad my glasses is on. She said, ladies, you are all comical and truths tonight. Just laughing right there with you. Thank you, Gertrude. She said vacation time. Cool. Gertrude, we expect you still to be watching from your phone, okay? And liking our replays.
And sharing it.
And sharing it. Folks, listen, this is like, to me, I'm okay with being by myself. When we left off, Dr. Mac, what you were talking about, I go everywhere by myself. It's not a big deal for me. And the thing is, folks, I've gotten comfortable with just being Christine's plus one. When I walk into a room, I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't heard it before, I got a theme music that's playing. Okay? And all I got to say is,
What is it? Milkshake by Khalees.
No,
I thought it was I'm a Grown Woman by Beyonce. What is it? I want to know.
Grown Woman.
Oh, God.
It's Eminem. Lose yourself. You only get one
Detroit.
shot.
Oh, because Detroit.
Come on. I'm from Detroit. You better give it up.
I'm gonna send you some Big Sean. We can't have you rolling into that white boy.
Okay, I like Eminem. You know what? Big Sean, by the way, is a baby Sean. He baby Sean. They call him Big Sean. Okay, so we gotta be clear.
Didn't look like a baby.
Ooh, wait a minute now.
That's another time. Yeah, he leaked it.
We got to put that on the bleep show. Bleep, bleep, bleep. By the way, folks, we don't bleep on this show. Okay, so what about those folks? It's just, you got to get the support of 20 people before you even talk to somebody. Not that you cutting them before you even enter the conversation. And why is that a lady thing, or do men do the same thing? Is that just the ladies? Is that the ladies
No,
on the boat?
I don't do that. That's childish. I'm calling it out. I got like one or two people that I might have that type of conversation with, but I'm not out here just on blast. I don't need for people's input on my decision. I don't need that many people. And honestly, if I go to somebody, some sort of external factor, I'm not looking for confirmation. I'm really just saying out loud because I need to hear it back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, you might give me some advice. You know how maybe it's time for you to look for a new job because I don't think they're appreciating you over there. And I'm like, you know what? She's probably right. But it's not like I can't imagine vetting an entire football team to get somebody's perspective on whether or not somebody gets to stay in my life, especially
Right.
people who don't really know the situation. It's very surface level for them. So no.
All right. So what the point that you just made is the point I'm making. How can a person really give you input? And now you can be objective. Like if Dr. Mack called me and say, hey, Christine, I'm going to run something by you real quick. She's really just trying to check some boxes to see if I'm seeing what she's seeing as an outsider looking in. She's not looking for my approval. So folks, that's not what we're saying. But if you like, Chris, look, now when we get off the phone, based on what you say, I'm about to go ahead and do this, then that's different conversation. That's different. And so the thing is, I may call somebody and say, look, like if I have a situation at work, I might call somebody and be like, Mac, this is what's going down. What you think? I'm about to do this. She might be like, well, Christine, you know your personality. You might want to just give her one more conversation and then do that. You know what I'm saying? That's different. So what Holly is saying is you didn't call the whole troop out. That's a different conversation. So Dr. Mack, go on and put your little doctorines on it. Put your little doctorines on it.
So I love my advice village. It keeps me humble and it keeps me realistic. So
what you call it, the advice village?
My advice village, right? So I've been blessed with 20-year friendships in addition to mentors that I actually admire who have value in their word and who understand some of the things that I'm working on, right? So for me not to ask the advice or the insight from people that love and know me is to think that I got it all together. So it's not that I can't make decisions for myself, but if I have a best friend or a close girlfriend who has experienced repeat trauma, I'm going to say something when you start to date that next guy because he reminds me of the last two guys that we've survived. And if I'm about to make a decision that is impulsive or very, Dr. Mack, then my friends who have qualified based on their love for me, their intentions for me, their experiences with me, they have every right to tell me that I'm about to do the same shit again. And that
But Dr. Mack, wait right there. That's Dr. Mack, what you just said is important. You said they have the what?
They have the right and they qualify. And that is what I mean by an advice village. If you go. Right. So a lot of women don't ask any advice because they don't want anybody to tell them the truth. And they just like to make moves on their own because they don't want any accountability or any input. So you have that woman who just wants to do it and jump out into it. But then the next
like the advice village.
The advice village who you want to ask, am I doing the same thing again? Or am I a bit irrational about being upset about this?
But I like what you said, Dr. Mack. You got qualifiers in there. You said my mentors. Like I call my mentors all the time on legitimate. Exactly. I call my mentors. Before I decided to do this podcast, I did mentors. When I remapped the podcast, I was looking for personalities. They helped me map all this out because I wasn't clear on what was going to make a good podcast. So to be honest with you all, I didn't know you, but you all were a personality.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So it made sense.
Yeah.
Now, in my relationships, Dr. Mack, I ain't gonna lie with you. I kind of go rogues on that though. I go rogues. I got one check-in. I call Cooks on the phone. Cooks, I've been knowing Cook since college. I say, Cook, this is what's going down. This is what I'm about to do. You know what Cook say? She say, you know what? She like the orchid. She like Ramel. She be trying to take the softer side. See, I'm rodeo. I'm riding the stallion. She's softer side.
Yeah. But
So it's balancing.
let me offer you this. If it's all about humility and wanting to have something better. And by having
Yeah.
something better, that means you want to change a habit from your previous situation. And if I want to be better, I have to have accountability partners that tell me what I need to change about me. And if I'm only
Yeah.
talking to one person, then I just really want to do what I want to do. I don't want anybody to actually tell me you're a bit too this or you're a bit too that, or maybe this can change. And they say it from a place of love because they want to see me in a successful partnership or relationship. If you're moving autonomously and you keep getting the same results because you're not asking anybody what you need to change, it's a bit arrogant because that means you're going into spaces thinking that every single thing about you is perfected to the point that nothing needs to be better. And you're trying to partner yourself with somebody from their own culture, their own world, their own experiences. It's kind of like, yeah, cut it out. Cut it out.
So y'all heard what Dr. Max said. Don't do what I do. Do the other thing, because I'm gonna go rogues. I go rogues a lot. But one thing I'm grateful about is that Cook know me inside and out. So if you got a friend, like Cook keeps it real with me, you know, and I like that about her. I don't always agree with what she say,
But
but
that's good.
she's an
You got
orchid.
Mhm.
She keeps it real. Now, if I call my boys, though, if I call my boy squad, my men's, they be like, Christine, you just a man in a dress. Tell us the thing again. Let's be clear. Now, who I really love is Galen. Galen McDowell, who comes on Wednesdays. I give Galen knows me. I tell him everything. Even the stuff y'all probably be like, she told Galen that? I told Galen that. Galen comes at it. It shocks me sometimes the way he comes at it. But what I will say is this. I'll call Cook first because she gonna give me the orchid. She's Ramel. She gonna give me the orchid on it. I call Galen because Galen gonna put the spiritualities and the realities on it. And then if I'm really not sure if it's all making sense to me, I'll call Eric. And so that's it. But I'm done with it. But a lot of times Cook
now,
mixing in
can
the
you
boat.
add me to the list since you got me? You might as well use me.
You know what, Dr. Matt?
You find any value in anything that I'm saying.
You know what? I'm gonna call you Dr. Mac because I'm gonna tell you one of the things I always do. I always make a pros and cons list. So I'm gonna tell you, folks, even if you don't have a group of people around you that you can reach out to, because if I need some, I know I could call Holly real quick. Be Holly, like, look, what's up? This is what I'm thinking. Especially when it's dealing with something with me personally that I know that she's experienced, right? Because then she can help me get my mind wrapped around it because she's gonna then give me some of that stuff that I didn't experience that she did. And I'm good with that. But one of the things that I'm going to tell you, even though I'm a roguer, I'm never closed-minded to somebody say, I could be right in mid-strut. And if they say, Chris, stop, I'd be like, stop, what we doing? See, I'm quick to go, what we doing? Because I'm not open. And one of the things Dr. Mack is saying, don't be a person that's so headstrong that you just rogue and don't give a crap about what anybody's saying. Because life is bigger than you, right? Mm-hmm. And so my thing is, I always tell people, even though I'm an individual, I'm a soloer, I'm still open to the whole concert playing around me, the whole orchestra, right? Yeah. I'm not closed-minded to that. So folks, listen, life is what it is, right? It is. Life is what it is. So right now, if you're trying to evaluate your personal relationships, right now in real talk, Holly, what would you tell a person? What's the first thing they need to do and how can they wrap it up? What would you tell them?
If they're evaluating all relationships, are we talking about, because there are different types of relationships?
You can pick one. Which one is a good example that you can kind of say this is
if we're specifically talking about friendships and you're reevaluating friendships, I think the key for that for me is transparency. I try to be very transparent with my friends. If I don't feel like that's being reciprocated, then it might be time for me to reevaluate that. Because like I said before, you know, I used to be a huge people pleaser. I don't want to feel like there's no reciprocity in the friendship. And I don't mean strictly from like a monetary standpoint, a time standpoint. Like I have to feel like I'm getting something out of it.
I like that. Okay, Holly, she said transparency. All right, Ramel.
For friendships, I definitely feel like if someone is, my pet peeve is when you always are the one that needs the support, but aren't able to lend support. So if you are that person, you are probably not in my life anymore. Okay. I have gotten rid of all of my friends, even some family. And when I say gotten rid, I don't mean like that they don't exist in my circle. They just don't exist in my daily time, my monthly, I see them
Right.
occasionally or whatever.
Intimately.
Yeah. Yeah. I have pushed them out into the world. Let the world deal with them. I'm not,
Look
you
at the
know?
orchid. The orchid says, into the
Let
world.
the
Into the
world
world.
deal with
Let the
them.
world deal with that.
I love
I'm
it.
not. So,
That's the orchid for you.
but
I love
it's
that.
just true. I just decided I have my time is finite.
Yeah.
My my time is valuable to me, and that's one of those things, those boundaries that I started having to put up for myself is um to not always give my time away to people who are not willing to give the time to me. Like, I have you ever had somebody who always calls you and you're like, yeah, 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 they're talking and they're telling you all their stuff, and then you go, oh, okay, well, my day was good. Oh, good girl, I gotta go.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like,
Look at Holly.
okay, that's like literally when you start doing that,
Yeah.
you start moving down the
Mm-mm.
roster. I can't do it. I can't and I won't do it. So,
Mm-mm.
I think that's my answer.
I love
Mhm.
it. Dr. Mack, before you go on, I just want to say, Michael McDowell says, sounds like you actually have an advice village, Christine. Thank you, Eminem. Over
You
there.
know that word, lose yourself. Look at
Woo!
that.
We better know it. Okay, we said.
Mhm.
Okay, and
Uh,
Drill says a very good show, ladies. Thank you, 60s and 40. Okay, so Dr. Mack, what's
um,
going on?
I need accountability in our relationships. It can't always
I
be my
like
fault.
that. Yeah.
I think friendships, relationships, my family, like I'm having things that I'm working on. You have things that you're working on, but to constantly be in challenging conversations or even like downright conflict, it
Right.
can't always be me. It
Right.
can't always be something I did or something I said. I have to feel like, you will say, you know what? I need to change this, and then I can change this, and we can kind of, piggyback off of each other wanting to be better. But if you make me feel like I'm the only one that constantly needs a fix, it is the start, like Ramil said, it's the start of your dissension because you're
Yeah.
stripping me away. You're making me feel less than consistently, and it's like I'm always wrong, and that is not where love lives. That's not where
Mm-mm.
joy lives. That's not
Mm-mm.
where friendship or intimacy lives. Like
Mm-mm.
somebody being vulnerable enough to say, you know what, I was a bit disrespectful, or I did say that a bit aggressively, or you know what, I could have tried a different method because that's how much I love you, that's how much I'm working on this relationship with you, and it makes
Mhm.
you want to work a bit harder for them.
Mhm.
And that's the, understanding the human experience and the ebb and flow of a relationship. Outside of that,
Absolutely.
no.
Everything that you guys said, I absolutely love and agree with. Is taking that different perspective through the varying lens, because life experiences gives us an opportunity to see things differently, right? And the first thing I'm going to tell you guys, I think you need to evaluate yourself. It's like be real with yourself,
Mhm.
really kind of find out who you are. And I think that's the reason why I can walk into any space with my theme music. I've done therapy. I've spent years by myself. I've gone through traumatic situations that most people wouldn't recover from, right? With a smile on their face and no unhappy moments about my experience. I think everything that's impacted my life has created this Christine person, right? And I'm going to tell you, it hasn't been easy. But the first thing I did was evaluate myself. I needed to know that I was going to be good to Christine so then I could be good to other people, so I could be good to my son, that I could be good to a potential spouse. I tell people from the beginning, we don't have to look for surprises. I'm getting ready to do the disclaimer right now. I can be an asshole. I speak my mind. I'm very humorous. Like that's my door. That's my, my disclaimer. And I do it from the door. So if you can't handle all of that, but one thing with all of my disclaimers, when you with me, I got your back no matter what. It's going to take hell and high water to pull me off that back. So just know all my disclaimers, as crazy as they are, just know this. I got your back. I'm never going to be disrespectful to you. Even when you think I ain't got you. If you halfway text, I'm coming back with what you need.
Christine,
that's how I do.
You
So
get
you
an
gotta
A.
know.
You get an A for authenticity, and everybody ain't
Authenticity, I'll take it.
You get an A for authenticity.
And all I gotta say is, if this was a sport where everybody got a trophy, you get a trophy, you get a trophy, you get a trophy. For what? Just being you, folks. Before you walk out in life, just find a moment to just love yourself. Stop evaluating everybody's impact on your life. Evaluate your impact on their life. Because a lot of times you're getting what you're given. And that was this whole conversation tonight. All of us recognize who we are. When Holly said, I am a people pleaser, she just made it clear. I had to make that transition. Ramel went from being a pleaser mommy. Like that was a big step. And she was like, what do I like? Wait a minute, what's my name? She had to go back and relearn who she was and started to figure it out. And then Dr. Max said, we're going to keep it real. One, stop thinking you all that. Get your little village, but your village got to qualify. Don't be bringing everybody up in your village now. That part. Okay, you got to have some qualifiers. And the other thing is, folks, have mentors, people who are older than you, more experienced than you, educated, people who have already taken that roadmap, right? Stop playing with your life. Like she said, Ramel said it, infinite. It's boom. I was 30 years old 30 minutes ago in my mind. Being 52, I'm like, how the hell did I get here? It was a trick. It was like, boom, I'm here. So let's be clear, folks. If you in Christine's life, you're being evaluated. And if you don't make the cut, you're out. Why? Because life is too short. Like Holly said, look at Dr. Mac. What you gonna do, Orchid? What's your thing?
I don't know. They gotta go. Go out to the world. Go out to the world.
Like this. Look, they were like, is she playing baseball?
No, I was like, yo, out. Out.
So get your girl squad together, folks, which is your advice club, and know who you got in your corner, and know that they got to qualify to be there. And all I got to say is, folks, love who you are, be who you are, embrace who you are, and get your theme music. Don't steal Eminem's though. Lose yourself. What's your theme before we go? I want to know everybody's theme music. I already know yours is going to be Dr. Mac. Who is it? Beyonce?
Yes. Yes.
What song is it?
I'm that girl.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And it opens up saying, these motherfuckers ain't stopping me. That's the first one.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
I love it. Did you see how she did that, Holly? Arborville, what's yours?
I don't even know. I don't necessarily need to have. I love music. I'm gonna work on it next time y'all ask me.
All right, by next week, I need to hear what's your theme music. Holly, what's yours?
Homework.
I don't know.
Homework. Yes, homework. I'm gonna come up with something I
don't know.
All right, look, you guys got homework. Before we go, I just want to say, of course, Gertrude said, thank you so much, ladies. You are so welcome, Gertrude. Gertrude, by the way, if you're just tuning in, she was our #1 viewer since we started. Is Gertrude. Gertrude. She's always with us every single night.
It's your birthday.
Mr. Major, I'm telling you right now, you becoming a fast friend. He said, great show. Good night, ladies. Folks,
no, Mr. Major's a dope guy. Thank you for tuning in.
He on Team Holly.
But that's okay as long as he tuning in. That's all that matters.
I love
Ladies,
it.
thank you for another great show. Make sure you guys check us out next week. That is our last live show until we come back in May because we're going on spring break for the month of April. All right, ladies, I'll see you back next Friday. And thank you so much for everyone for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our podcast with all your friends and family. We'll see you guys next week on Real Talk with the Ladies.